So you know you're having a thought, but they're not real, they're not tangible anywhere. And living in this dimension of matter, we're used to things having a substance to them. As I said, even atoms have substance to them. So thought lives beyond that. So it lives outside the dimension of matter that we exist in, which now we're in the quantum field, which is subatomical particle theory. You know you have thoughts. If I tell you now to think of a pink elephant, you can think of a pink elephant. And you just did it, so it's real, it exists. But you can't show me that you did that. Which is why thought is so elusive. And so we're gonna dive into that today and look at what is really the purpose of thought. Thought can only be in the past or the future. Even if it's very recent future, past, like if I just have a thought now, I'm having a thought now, and now it's still in the past. Even if it's a fraction of a second in the past, it's still in the past. So the only way to be present is to not have thought, non-thought, which is meditation, which is why I push to practice meditation so vehemently. We bring these thoughts into existence. But there aren't thoughts floating around. They go, oh, there's a human head, I'm going to jump into it. We produce these thoughts. So we're actually completely in control of our thoughts. I see that some people have left questions. That's fantastic. So as I'm going, just drop the questions in, because at the end I'll get to some questions and we'll be able to answer and have that conversation. On Facebook, you can just write them in the comments. And I usually do a good job getting to them there. Well, I don't know if I do a good job, I try. So we're talking about thoughts and how they don't really exist and that we produce them. Now, what are the thoughts we produce? What's the purpose of them? Why do we do it? The thoughts are generated through our identity, which we talked about yesterday. So the identity basically is made up of my beliefs, which are my filters to the world. So what I believe about the world is what I'm trying to prove, what I'm trying to validate. We're always trying to validate our beliefs. So I'm out there looking to make sure that I'm safe. That's what human programming is about. It's about, hey, am I safe? There's the biogenic traits which are there to keep us safe. So the fight or flight. But there's also the safety of my existence as a personality, as a human, as a Paul, not a physical one, but identity Paul. So I bring this identity into existence. And now that's the filter of my world that I'm trying to, each day, prove that it's correct. I'm trying to prove my beliefs are accurate. And the story that I'm following, which is the sociogenic traits, the culture around me, that I fit into this tribe, I'm trying to validate that I am part of it and that is correct. Because if I wasn't, my whole reality would then fall apart and I'd be left with nothing. I might have to find a new tribe or be alone, which is the fundamental fear of humans, is to be alone. That's why this time is so critically important, that we understand this and we understand how to connect and we understand that we are actually safe without trying to fit into following this pathway, this story. We also go about defending our beliefs. And we're going to talk about conversation in a moment. Actually, in a couple of days, we talk about the human communication. And what we're doing is we're defending our beliefs in communication. So I'm defending what I think is reality, and I'm trying to prove myself. I'm trying to prove that not only that I exist, that I'm here, but I have value. Because we want to have value for the tribe, and so we don't get kicked out. If you think of our civilization right now, our culture right now, what do we value as most important? It's wealth, fame, celebrity, or power. So I'm trying to attain those things, or I'm trying to associate with someone who has them. And so then I will feel more secure. I feel more secure because that's what our tribe values, and that's what I have, or that's what I'm close to, so there's less likelihood of me being kicked out. So this is all existing in our thoughts. So our thoughts, as I said, they can't be, they don't exist anywhere. I'm producing it. I'm the faucet or the tap that's running it. So if I want to stop them, I have to turn it off. And that's why meditation is so important, because it's a practice of me not thinking, of me not producing this reality. Because when I produce reality, I usually ruminate, my thoughts are usually ruminating on past events that went wrong, or future events that could go wrong. So there's fears out there. And what do we do when we have a fear? As a human, we try and retreat from it. Something scary, we try and retreat from it. We don't face it. When we have to, we do, and then we get adrenaline, and that's the fight mechanism. But usually we try and retreat. If we get into a cold ice tub, we want to get small, we want to get away from it. So we're trying to do the same with our thoughts. But the problem is our thoughts, we're producing, and they're not tangible. So it's very difficult to battle them. It's very difficult to get rid of them, because they don't exist in this dimension. And we don't do very well as humans dealing with things that are not in this dimension. We can't get a sword and swipe them. You know, it's not a nice topic to think about, but if someone causes if they kill someone, or they do anything bad like that, they'll kill themselves through shooting them in the head, not in the heart, which would be equally as effective. But we do it because this master is controlling us. So we need to get control of that. And this is the conversation that needs to be had right now, because we're more isolated than ever before. And so we're left with the thoughts, and they can be spinning off in any direction. And we're creating this reality that we exist in. Our brains are designed for scarcity and danger, because the environment we lived in was filled with scarcity and danger. In fact, our whole civilization is a reaction to that. We're trying to produce safety and abundance. But we're living in this world of abundance with a scarcity mindset. It's the coding of our brain, the amygdala of our brain, that works faster than the prefrontal cortex, the reason part of the brain, is determining everything. But we can change that. We don't have to have those thoughts. We don't have to have those ruminations. So the purpose of thought is really to strategize, is to solve a problem. So if I have something that I need to figure out, thinking is fantastic for that. But other than that, it's typically causing me stress. And it's not allowing me to be present. So, the value of thought is to strategize. And other than that, it's causing we're ruminating, causing stress. So we want to really get control of these thoughts. If you think of having a conversation, we're not very good at listening in conversations, because we're preparing our defense. But what are we defending against? We're usually defending against our value. So most conversations are about, hey, look how much knowledge I have, and I'm going to show you, I'm going to demonstrate I have this knowledge. Like, how many books, like I'm going in the library of my head, I'm going to pull a book and show you how much I have. Then the other person is going to, they're maybe being invalidated now. So now they want to prove that they have knowledge. So they got to invalidate the other person. It becomes this battle. So as someone's speaking to me, I'm actually preparing my defense. There's obviously many other ways that we have conversations, but it's not often that we're in a state of listening. And we have to think about that when we're communicating, and we're going to talk about human communication in a couple of days, because it's very important how you present something you want someone to hear, because you don't want to evoke a defense in them, because then there's no listening. They're just preparing a defense. So you want to get people to be listening, which is non-thought. We don't often practice this. We have this tour guide in our head that's commentating on the environment constantly. And so it's so important to practice non-thought. Why don't we do it now, right now, for a few seconds? Don't think. Okay, you can look around the room, you can be present. There's a meditation I do, which is a walking meditation, which is really powerful. And you just go out and you walk without thinking. It's amazing how present you become to everything that's going on around you. So let's go 30 seconds. Look around your room, wherever you're at, but don't think. Okay, that was about 30 seconds. How did that go for you guys? Were you able to not think? Was that very strange? I had trouble this time not thinking because there were sounds on my street and I was worrying that, are people going to hear it? I was looking at the time, so I didn't do great. But how was that for you? Were you able to not think? Were you able to actually be present? And people don't often want to be present because then they're left with whatever their sensations are. And so we talked about this a couple of days ago, how these sensations, we're trying to escape from them. That's a feeling. So these thoughts create a chemical release, and then they produce our feelings. And then we're left with that. So we're trying to distract ourselves constantly, either to produce another feeling or to escape from the feeling that we have. So, do you see how it's all tangled up? And you can't separate this. Everything's involved. So, if I asked you where the most powerful chemical factory in the world was, what would you say? It exists in our heads. We can produce any number of cocktail of chemicals at any second, in the blink of an eye. I can be here very calm, relaxed, and there can be a loud crash outside. Within that second, I will then be filled with adrenaline. That's how quickly it happens. But I'm constantly filling myself with these chemicals. This crazy chemist in my head is dispensing these chemicals constantly because of my thoughts. Because the brain doesn't know the difference between perceived or actual reality. So I'm living in this state of perceived reality because I'm constantly having these thoughts. And it takes a lot of practice to get good at not going down that rabbit hole in believing your thoughts. But if you can get to nothing, if you can get to non-thought, you can then have the possibility of anything. If I can get to nothing, which is presence, is reality, or non-attachment. So if you think about what you actually need to exist as a human, it's not that much. We need food, we need sunlight, human connection, but we don't need that much. We have all these things that we have in our life because we're following a narrative, a story of our culture, of our civilization. And I'm trying to fit into that. I'm trying to show that I'm contributing. Look, I have the house, I have the job, I have the family, whatever it is, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not suggesting that one way is right or wrong. I just want you to have freedom to choose it. So that non-attachment or nothing will get you that freedom. So we're going to talk about a relationship as well, which is very much attachment.